Hey guys, so today I'm doing the vanilla cinnamon apples. We're canning them up. That way we have them throughout the winter, and I think they're going to taste really good. I've never actually done them with the vanilla and cinnamon before, but it takes real vanilla bean and cinnamon sticks. And I'll show you what I'm going to show you the process of it. It doesn't seem incredibly difficult. Not a whole lot different than the apples we've done before, just doing it with some cinnamon, and real vanilla. So let's get started. Let me change camera views and I'll show you what I've got done so far. All right, so right here I've got my water simmering. It's sugar water or syrup. This right here is 12 cups of water, 5 cups of sugar, 2 cinnamon sticks, and 2 vanilla beans. I'm curious to see how it turns out. The person I watched make this on YouTube, this is the way she did it, and it looked really good. Sounds amazing. Nothing like vanilla, apples, and cinnamon. So what I did was I started this first, and then I put a lid on it so I could simmer it. That way we get the vanilla and cinnamon into it. And then while that was happening, I have been cutting apples. Let me get set up on the tripod, and I'll show you how I cut the apples. All right? Be right back. All right, so here's how I do my apples. I'm just going to show you a couple of them. The process is rather weird, but I've got a peck of apples. They're Johnny Gold apples. Johnny Gold. And I got them down at the farmer's market, the Amish store near my house. And they had some left in season, and I don't want them going bad on us. Because a peck is a lot. So a full bushel is 48 pounds worth of apples. And this is a quarter. That's about 8 pounds of apples. Plus I had a couple extra, the Opals and I think a Honeycrisp that I'm putting in this also. But what I do is I slice it down the middle, lay it on its side, and then I quarter it. Then after I quarter it, I come in at an angle. I don't know if you can see it real well, but I'm going to take the core out. So I come in just above where the stem is on it, and I cut downwards at an angle. I get rid of the core, and then I slice it into another quarter. So after I get these done, it seems like a bit of a process. And some people, you can peel these first. I just don't. I find it easier to peel with a paring knife after I've cut them already. And then that way I don't have to fuss with it. You can use like a potato skin peeler, like a potato peeler, and do them. But what I do after that is I simply just take my knife, slip it right underneath the skin, and then just bring it back. Now, when you're making these, you want to use a fairly firm apple. And the recipe is actually in the ball canning book if you want to use it. I got mine off of Karen, which she got hers off of the ball canning book, but it's Thrifty Chic Housewife, I think is her YouTube channel. Yeah, Karen, the Thrifty Chic Housewife. And she probably do a better job and do it more justice than what I'm doing now. But as I peel them, I'm putting them in this pot right here. This pot has got water in it. Now they make a fruit preserver that you can use while you do this. Ball makes one. There's somebody else that makes one. I just simply put about 2 tablespoons of lemon juice in it. Lemon juice does not hurt anything. You can't taste it. Once you're done canning, you'll never know the lemon juice is in there. So you don't have to worry about that. And then we're going to water bath these. Will be our end process. I was kind of hoping to see a bad spot so I could tell you what to do. If you do run into a bad spot and it's not like taking up the entire apple, you can cut it out. These you don't have to cut into slices. You can cut them in halves. You can quarter them. You can turn them into chunks. Doesn't matter. They'll all be the same. So, but if you get a bad spot and it's small enough, cut it out. If it's not, it's okay to pitch the slice. You'll have plenty. The recipe, if I remember right, I have it in my ball book also. I just happened to catch it on her channel and was like, oh, that sounds good. I'll do it her way, which is the ball way. And it gives you I think it calls for 6 to 9 pounds of apples, which that's about what this is. It might be a little more. And then in the ball book, there's also recipes for your simple syrup, your sweet syrup. So depending on what I'm doing is the syrup I made with the 5 cups of sugar and the 12 quarts of water is actually considered a light to medium syrup. Heavy syrups are just like way too crazy with sugar. But that's how you peel apples. I'm going to go ahead and peel up these last half a dozen or so I got, and then we'll come back and we'll tell you what the next step is. All right, be right back. All right, guys, so I got all the apples peeled. My simple syrup has been boiling now or simmering for about 30-35 minutes maybe. So I'm going to go ahead and remove. I got my vanilla right there, beans. Go ahead and discard those and the cinnamon. We'll grab the cinnamon real quick. And then I had my apples, as I was peeling them, I had them sitting in a water bath with some lemon juice in it. I went ahead and drained the water off of those. And Sam, I don't know if you want that. Dropped a cinnamon stick and my dog's about to try to grab it. Ugh. And I don't know if she'll enjoy it. And I'm not about to let her try. All right, so the next thing that you're gonna do, you've got all your stuff boiled, or all your stuff boiled, all your stuff peeled. Sorry, there was a little more water in the bottom of that pot. So I got all the apples peeled. My simple syrup has been, you don't have to let it simmer if you're not using the vanilla and the beans. If you're just doing a basic simple syrup, which is what I think Ball has you do, you just simply bring it to a boil and then turn it off. Well, in this case, you'd want to let it simmer until you get your apples peeled. But I let it go at least a half hour because I really want the I want that flavor of the vanilla and the cinnamon to be in there. So, boiled simple syrup with the cinnamon and vanilla in there for about 30-35 minutes. Meanwhile, I was peeling the apples. Got those peeled and sliced. Put those in here. Now, I'm to the point where we're going to bring this up to a boil. And then turn it down to a soft boil for 5 minutes. Once the 5 minutes is over, it's ready to can. So I already got my jars washed. I just need to get them into some hot water to let them soak. Not that you can completely see them, but in this little red pot here, I've got the lids for my jars. These aren't Ball lids, and I've had the worst time getting them to seal properly. And even though Ball lids you don't have to heat, I am going to heat these ones to see if that won't get them to seal. My luck has been about every 4 out of only 1 out of every 5 have not sealed. So I'm going to try this route and see how that works. Hopefully we'll get them to seal. But anyhow, I'm going to go ahead and get my jars in hot water. I'll bring you back when we're ready to can this up. All right, after that's boiled for 5 minutes. I'll see you here in just a few minutes. All right, I'm back. I let my apples boil for 5 minutes. The lids I let simmer. Now, Ball says, excuse me for there, shut the door, I got a little cold in here. But Ball says you don't have to sterilize or heat their lids anymore, but these aren't Ball lids. Like I said, I've been having issues with them. So I tried the syrup. It is absolutely amazing. It's got the nicest blend of sweet vanilla and cinnamon you have ever tried. So, and I also got my pot on for water canning. We're water bathing these today. The apples are a high acidic fruit, so uh, according to the National Food Preservation Society, you don't have to pressure can them, just water bath them, which I've done apples before, and that is true. We're going to do them for 20 minutes. Doesn't matter whether you do them in quarts or pints. It's 20 minutes. I'm doing ours in quarts. I have my quarts here in the quart jars here in the hot water. I don't have to sterilize them because we're going longer than 10 minutes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take, it's kind of the same process. It's almost always the same process. You want to hot pack these. Everybody recommends, everybody meaning the Food Preservation Society and Ball, that you hot pack these because if not, you can get float, which is where your fruit floats above the above everything in the jar, floats to the top. And I have found with a few fruits that I've actually packed, that kind of happens whether you like it or not. So you want to fill your apples up, and you want to pack them in there. Not, I mean, you don't want them to be incredibly dense, but you don't want them to be loose either. That will also help with floating. So you get as many as you can in there. I put a little more in there. And I may only get 2-3 quarts out of this. It says it'll make like, I think 6 pints, 7 pints. So I'm thinking probably 2 to 3 quarts. I did have 5 jars just in case. Always do more than you think you may use. Once you get your apples in there, grab you a measuring cup. I got a 1 cup measuring cup. That way you can get some of this delightful syrup out. And you're going to pour the syrup over top of it, up to a 1/2 inch from the rim of the jar. And then in order to you want to get the air pockets out. Try to use something plastic or a chopstick or a plastic knife. If you don't, those are best practice. I personally use a metal knife. They tell you not to use them because you can score the sides of your jar and it can cause it to crack. And I've never had that happen. So it's one of those do as I say, not as I do. When you get the air out of them, after you get the air out of them, sometimes your liquid level will drop, and that's okay. That's going to happen. Just go ahead and add more liquid, and then we'll fill up this jar here. Yeah, I should have enough for 1 or 2 more, I think. And like I said, you don't want to pack them so tight that there's no room left or they're smushing them, but you want to pack them tight enough that when you add your juice they don't float, and then that will help you there. I actually made more syrup than I needed. It seems like every time I do a ball recipe I run out of syrup before it's all said and done, and this time it looks like I'm going to have lots left over, which is okay. I mean, it's kind of a waste, but it's okay. So we'll go ahead. I'll get these last 2 packed. Well, here, I'll go ahead and show you what's next on the process. You want to wipe your lids off, or rims off. Because especially at this point, because we're using a syrup which has got sugar in it, and that sugar can keep it, the syrup itself can keep it from sealing properly. So you want to make sure you got that wiped off real good. And then we're going to not reach in the scalding hot water because it is scalding hot. And grab a lid. It's one thing I don't think I've ever shown you before. I have a poker stick. This also comes in the ball jar kit with the tongs and the poker. And we're going to get our lids out of there so that way we don't burn ourselves. And like I said, hopefully it'll activate the glue is my end goal. And then I pre-wash my rings and let them dry. I'm going to put them on finger tight. That's kind of hot. I'm not going to lie. And finger tight is just use your fingers, nothing more, nothing less. Put the rings on. Remember, if you crank down on that bad boy, you're going to run into problems. There's no way for it to equalize the pressure in the seal. All right, so you got those on there like that, and you're just we're going to take them and set them in the pot. Now, because we're hot packing these, which means the jar is hot, the food is hot, the lids are hot, last thing you want to do is stick this in a container of cold water to water bath them. So what I did while I was boiling those was I got that filled with water to what I believe to be the proper amount, and then started warming it up. It's close to the proper amount. When you're water bath canning, the water in your water bath canner should be at least minimum an inch, no higher than 1.5 inches above the thing that you are water bath canning, whether it be quart jars, pints, whatever. So that way you don't, it won't heat properly, and all kinds of bad things can happen. So I'll get these last couple filled up, and then I'll stick the lid. I'll make sure that my water is 1.5 inches above the tops of the jars, and then I will let this start to boil. I'll put the lid on it so that way it can boil. You should always boil these with the lid on. You can take it off and check it occasionally, but you want to check it you want to boil it with the lid on. It boils quicker that way. They don't sit in the water bath as long. And we're going to boil them for 20 minutes. Okay, and you don't start your timer on the boiler until your 20 minutes is up. Now I've got a little left over here, and I think I'm just going to throw them in a jar and put them in the fridge. But I could put them in a quart jar or in a pint jar, and put them in and still use it in this water bath, because they're water bathing for the same time, 20 minutes. And that's the important thing. A lot of times you'll get stuff that's, maybe 10 minutes for pints, 15, 20 minutes for quarts, and you can't do them at the same time. All right, well, I'm going to finish these up, get them in there, and I'll bring you back when it starts boiling. We'll take a look at it. All right, I'll see you here in a minute.
Yeah.
All right, guys, we're back. I got it boiling, let it boil for 20 minutes on the stove, 1.5 inches of water over the top. And now, after it got done boiling, I shut it off, or after the 20 minutes hit, timer went off, I shut it off. And when your water bath can, you have to let whatever it is your water bath canning sit for 5 minutes in the water. And then after that, then you can pull it out. What that does is it stabilizes it. You don't want to take it from that extreme environment to another extreme environment, or it'll just, bad things could happen. It can siphon. It can crack your jars. It can do a lot of things. But anyhow, so let's go ahead and take them out as soon as I let the ladies through. And we'll take a look at them, see how they go. I did try the syrup after I canned them, in between talking to you and doing what I was doing. It is crazy good. Did try a couple of the apple slices, even though they were very hot. They taste amazing. So, that being said, let's see what we got in here. Now remember, when you take these out, don't grab the lids, grab the jars, or it could be a hot, ugly mess. There's what we ended up with. Some nice apples and vanilla and cinnamon. I did only get 3 quarts, which means it makes 6 pints, which means I didn't need to double the syrup recipe, like always. So if you go to make your syrup, well, we'll review here in a second. Let me get these out of here to cool. Now remember, set your jars out. You want them about 2-3 inches apart. You want to let them set for 12 to 24 hours. You're going to listen for them to pop, for that lid to seal. In order to check them, you just push down on the lid. It should not move. There should be no give in it at all. On a good note, I don't think I had any siphoning. My water's clear. I don't smell vanilla or cinnamon or apple, and that's always a plus. That's a good way to start. That means these lids might have actually sealed properly. We'll find out here after a little bit. All right, so in review. Only because I haven't quite grasped the concept of a good way to videotape canning yet, even though I watch a bunch of canning videos. Anyhow, so we started out 6 cups of water, 2 cups of sugar. That's what we're going to do from now on. 6 cups of water, 2 cups of sugar. We're going to bring it up to a boil, then drop it down to a simmer, put a lid on it. While that's happening, we're going to peel our apples. Now I did about 9 pounds, 10 pounds of apples. After I get those peeled, I pull the vanilla beans and the cinnamon stick out of the syrup solution. I put the apples in it. I then turn the heat up, get it to a soft boil. So that way, I mean, a soft boil is if you can stir it, the boiling stops for a second. I want that to boil like that for 5 minutes. While we're doing that, while it's boiling, you want to wash your jars, get them into some fresh hot water. You want to wash your lids. If you're using ball lids in jars, you do not have to heat your lids. You can use them just as they are. Just wash them. Dry them off, set them aside. Leave your jars in hot water. Once the 5 minutes is up on your apples, you bring them over. You pull your apples out of the sauce and put them in the jars, out of the syrup, and into the jars, packing them full, but not so full that you can't see any daylight or see any spaces. Then you're going to fill it with syrup to the half-inch mark, halfway from the top, half-inch from the top. You're going to put your lid and your ring on there, finger tight. Finger tight is lucrative. Remember, just use your fingers to tighten it as tight as you can. Don't use the whole palm of your hand. We're going to stick it in our water. We're going to bring it up to a boil with the lid on it. We're going to let it boil with the lid on for 20 minutes. Turn the heat off, take the lid off, let it sit for 5 minutes to balance. And then we can get to this point here where we're taking it out. We're going to leave them set for 12 to 24 hours. We're going to check the seals by pushing on the top of the lids. If they don't move, that means they're sealed. After 12 to 24 hours, we take the rings off. We wash off our jars. We put what it is and the date we made it on it, and we store it. I store mine in the basement. You want to try to find some place where it's 65 to 70 degrees. I think I've said that once already, but it never hurts to say it again. And then you should have these apples. These apples should be good for about a year. I did notice they're soft. They're not mushy. They're not applesauce soft. They're soft like if you buy pears in the containers or in a can. They're soft like those. Firm enough to stay together, soft enough that if you didn't have teeth, you could eat them. All right. Well, I hope you learned something from this. I will try to keep finding a better way to do these videos because I really like doing the canning videos, and I think they can save you a lot of money. All right. I love you. Tell somebody else you love them, and I'll talk to you later. Have a great day.